Hello dear viewer and welcome back to Oblivion class restoration project, where we can summon and worship demonic overlords without the fear of persecution. Today we have the Sorcerer, who's dark, evil and extremely OP. I mean, really OP. I was so afraid that my fashion choices will make him weak. I went through a little enchanting alchemy loop and then I noticed the health bars just disappearing. Ta-da! It's gone. It often happens just because I was there. I didn't even need to do much. I always felt sorcerers are perfect for the darker side of magic, maybe because of the emphasis on trapping souls, so I went all in. This sorcerer is a Daedra-worshipping, blood-sucking shadow warlock. He needs no flashy lightnings or fireballs. All his insanely high damage comes from raw magic and poison spells. This means we need very few distraction perks to make most of our spells fully effective. Another cool thing is just the bucket load of health and magicka absorption. And I mean a lot, so much in fact. His tankiness and durability relies on it much more than on armor rating or high health. Obviously, sorcerers are magic tanks, so we need both AR and health to be quite high, but the build would still work with much less. And yes, all of the carnage you are about to witness is happening on legendary difficulty. I think some people may find it difficult to believe. And I also feel I need to clarify something. When this project started, I said I would only perk enchanting if a character class had the enchanting skill as a main in Morrowind. What I didn't think of was if that meant I should have alchemy replaced with enchanting or perk both. The answer is both, at least for this one. We will see how it goes for the Witch Hunter. First things first, mods. Here is the list of the essential ones: Vokrii, Evenstar, Summermyst, Winter Sun, Odin and Triumvirate. The Vokrii Odin compatibility patch was also used for the poison spell perks. Sacrosanct was also active in the recording and I do recommend it, but I didn't really use much of its mechanics. I needed to be a vampire for a different reason, as I learned a while back from one of you. The people. Vokrii restores the good old necromage vampire synergy even if you are using the unofficial patch. This means I was able to increase the effectiveness of many useful enchantments such as Amplified Destruction or key OP spells such as Draining Shroud at the cost of 1 perk point. When it comes to fashion, we have Modular Clothing system for the fabulous pauldrons and collar. Also, surprisingly, Immersive Creatures for the edgy Daedric worshipper robes. I went through a lot of effort to make this choice viable, as the robes are always pre-enchanted, so we need the black cloak from the Modular Clothing, which can hold the same enchantments as robes to have some actually useful chest slot effects. It also means we won't benefit from most heavy armor perks, but hey, at least it means, in turn, we can use perk points elsewhere. This makes the build more efficient, especially that with high enough alchemy and enchanting, we will reach the armor cap anyway. What can I say? I really wanted my edgy Elder Scrolls 4 t-shirt. For the race, we have the Dark Elf. Vanilla one will be good enough. We mainly needed to offset the vampire's weakness to fire. Obviously, a Breton or High Elf are both excellent choices too. With Sacrosanct though, Dark Elves can also steal a racial ability from a person they feed upon, which may be quite fun and provide you with some extra incentive for feeding. Also, simply flavor and roleplay. Dark Elves look dangerous, the sorcerers are dangerous, and early game worship of Azura they have in Wintersun can really help this character thrive early on, as it applies weakness to magic to everyone in a radius. Later on, we will have an enchantment doing the same thing, and we will switch to the worship of Hermaeus Mora. We will collect the Eldritch pages found on corpses of defeated enemies, getting some bombastic buffs like 20% more distraction spell effectiveness or 50% more effective novice spells. Needless to say, we will use quite a few novice spells all the way to the late game. Obviously, we need Grand Souls for enchanting, preferably Black Souls for roleplay. Then we will have the Scroll Hunter perk, giving us a chance to find some useful scrolls on corpses. We will also use the Soul Harvest enchantment, which will in time give us a very destructive power of Soul Burst. We unlock the power also by slaying enemies. The standing stone is the Evenstar Atronach, which will increase the power of our spells by 30% but decrease magicka regeneration, a drawback which will be easily offset by the exuberant amount of magicka absorption we are going to have. And the attributes ratio is 3 points of magicka per 2 of health. Yes, I know sorcerers should be beefy, but with 2 Triumvirate spells our health will be effectively infinite anyway. The main skills are Destruction, Alteration, Restoration, Conjuration, Heavy Armor, Alchemy and Enchanting. In Destruction we need Destruction Mastery, Raw Power 3 ranks, Rune Master 2 ranks and Dual Casting, but the Rune Master is optional. It's used in one need combo when I cast Poison Runes repeatedly while slowing down approaching enemies with the Web spell. It is indeed most effective when the enemies have to run a long way to get to you, so some extra casting distance will help. But you may use Viper Bolt or Black Hand spells instead of the rune, no biggie. Raw Power makes Draining Touch and Draining Shroud spells 30% stronger, so with the Atronach Stone it's 60% more health and magicka absorption. It's already insane, and we didn't even start talking about how many Amplified Destruction items we are going to wear or how OP our late game Fortified Destruction potions will be. In Restoration we need to unlock 3 perks that we will have little to no use for in order to reach the actual good ones. It's unfortunate, but I told you that sidelining the heavy armor perks will have a bright side. This is the bright side. We can have the Necromage, which will improve the effects of pretty much every potion we drink, including the ungodly Fortified Destruction ones and also most of our enchantments. Both ranks of Corrupting Poison will make most enemies susceptible to poison spells. As the Black Hand Odin spell is one of our mains, it's well worth it. It's a cheap spell and it deals plenty of damage when the appropriate Eldritch Tome is obtained and some Amplified Restoration items are worn. Contrary to Restoration, in Alteration every single perk point will change a lot. We can completely ignore the left side, going up the right hand branch up to Atronach. 3 ranks of magic resistance will stack with the magic resist of our items. Alter Self is used first to increase magicka, then to get some fire and shock resistances. In Conjuration we need the Atromancy branch. Oblivion Stone to make all summons stronger, Potency to get even stronger versions of our summons, and Twin Souls, of course, to always have 2 summons. I just really wanted to have one creepy Warlock summon and then something more classic, like a good old Dremora Lord or a Clanfear. There are also the highly optional ranks of Rift Summoner. It doesn't change much for this build, but it's nice to have options, I guess. In Heavy Armor simply go Mastery, Fit and Training. Fit will have no effect on us as we don't wear a chest piece, but Training will, removing the slowdown of Heavy Armor and freeing up some inventory space. Late game we will use Fortify Heavy Armor enchants to top our armor rating, as well as some unperked smithing with Fortify Smithing items and potions, so you really don't need to worry that much about this skill. Before this point in the playthrough is reached, you can also craft some Fortify Heavy Armor potions. Speaking of which, we need minimal investment in Alchemy. Mastery and Benefactor is enough to eventually maximize Fortify Enchanting and Destruction potions. I opted opted for Slow Metabolism, as it makes enchanting easier when your Fortify Enchanting potions last longer. 1 rank could be enough, especially outside of crafting. In combat, very few fights will last long enough to justify both ranks, so consider that remark if you want to tweak the build. Finally, Enchanting. I took quite a few perks here, including 1 rank of Scroll Sage and the Scroll Hunter. The Scroll perks will be most helpful if taken early, since in the early to mid-game you may occasionally run out of magicka. You will also use plenty of spells that are useless against some types of enemies, specifically Dwemer constructs, so it is a good idea to supplement your usual repertoire with some powerful scrolls.
Why do you write everything on these scrolls? Like these ancient treasure maps you seem to have.
Staff perks, all of them, are optional. Much like with scrolls, they can fill the gaps in your spellbook. A simple staff of Chain Lightning or Ice Storm, when enhanced with Fortified Destruction, Amplified Destruction, Magic Resistance Reduction and the staff perks, can become a really deadly weapon. But the later in the game, the less need there is for these perks, so if you have some ideas for this playthrough, like implementing some necromancy perhaps, or improving your defense with wards, staff perks can safely be dropped. Now, before I go over the list of enchantments, let me tell you how to even craft the bombastic end game set for this character, because I still get questions in my comments about this or that enchantment, or how to reach this or another enchantment strength. So you need to be a vampire and have the Necromage perk unlocked. This will improve the effects of many enchantments you wear. You need 100 in Alchemy and Enchanting with the Benefactor and extra effect unlocked. In this particular case, you will also need high smithing skill, preferably also 100, but some people don't have the patience, so to them I say, get at least 70, okay, you need some armor rating. Then, if you have any, equip all your Fortify Alchemy items, go to an Alchemy station, craft a Fortify Enchanting potion or 2, go to an Enchanting table, drink that potion, craft a set of Fortify Alchemy items, a head item, gloves or gauntlets, a ring and a necklace. Now make a set of Fortify Smithing items, necklace, ring, gloves and a chest item. Equip the Fortify Alchemy set, go back to the Alchemy table, craft your OP Fortify Smithing potion and some OP Fortify Enchanting potions. Go to an armor workbench, equip the smithing items, drink the smithing potion, improve all your armor pieces. In this case, black steel pauldrons, ebony boots, ebony gauntlets and steel jeweled collar. You may also activate the warrior stone before doing that, but after it's done, definitely activate the mage stone. And now you are ready for crafting your final OP set. After it's all done, remember to reactivate the Atronach stone, of course. And now for the list of enchantments. Amplify Destruction and Amplify Restoration on the circlet and necklace. Amplify Destruction and Area Drain Magic Resist on a cloak. Fortify Heavy Armor and Soul Harvest on gauntlets, Fire Resistance and Shock Resistance on boots, Magic Resistance and Fortify Heavy Armor on the ring. With all the previously described legwork, your Fortified Destruction potions will yield a 200% bonus and your Amplified Destruction items will grant nearly 40%. And we have 3 of them, so that's 120 plus 30 from raw power plus 30 from the stone, that's 380 maybe, I can't count, percent more damage to most of your key spells. Oh wait, there is another 20% from the Eldritch Tome, so that's 400 total? Oh my. Thus, your Draining Shroud will absorb 188 points of health and magicka per second. Your Draining Touch will absorb 56 points of health and magicka. And of course, the touch stacks with the shroud, and the touch can be applied to multiple enemies, meaning you will easily exceed 300 points of magicka and health recovery per second. So that's pretty strong, I would say. Not to mention the insane Soul Harvest power, which you will regain roughly every 10 kills of living targets, maybe slightly more. It can reach hundreds points of damage in a large radius. Not to mention the Black Hand spell. Actually, let's just look at the list of spells. Every combat, except when going against the Dwemer machines, should be started by casting Draining Shroud and Spirit of Thornbriar. Then apply Draining Touch to as many enemies as possible. This makes you effectively immortal and magically inexhaustible. If anything still stands, treat them to your 100 points per second Vampiric Drain or 390 points per second Black Hand spell. Quite a few things are resistant to poison, almost none are to Vampiric Drain. Another torture, combo, is Enfeeble and Vulnerability. It's a nice one in longer, tougher fights. Most fights will be barely an inconvenience, but still it's nice to have options. Enfeeble stops stamina regeneration and can cause them to drop weapons and shield. This makes high-level warriors pathetic, and they can't do anything before your draining spells destroy them. We also have the Warlock spells. Your Eldritch Blast, when dual cast, will deal nearly 500 damage. With the potion, of course. It's a super cheap novice spell too, and it can enhance your Warlock summons. We mainly use Ravagors, because when enhanced with the spirits of slain enemies, Ravagors will also absorb some health. When going against a Dwarven machine, but also if you just feel like it, you can cast Nightblade and Shadow Dance, and then empty both your hands. Then just punch in a general direction of the chosen enemy. You will be teleported towards them and deal, in the best case scenarios, 4200 damage, but it has diminished returns as the damage is tied to your current magicka, so remember to drink a magicka regeneration potion before a fight. After dealing your terrifying damage, jump backwards and the Shadow Dance will teleport you to a safe distance, so you can switch to ranged spells or wait for the magicka to regenerate before another Nightblade leap. Okay, so is this enough power? Because we can also talk about Sacrosanct, if you want. Nah, I think the video is long enough. If you need some alchemy recipes, I have a video all about cool alchemy recipes. Link in the description. If you like the build, be a trooper and leave a like and or comment, share, subscribe and all that stuff, you know the drill. I think next week we may have the very first ever Beli Fallout 4 build, which doesn't mean I am switching to Fallout. I suspect Skyrim builds will still be the main thing here, all the way to the release of the Elder Scrolls 6. Anyway, have fun, be nice to your parents, and we will see each other again. Bye. Bye.
You wizard. You warlock.
I am Shiva, the god of death.